Hey, schools and sports fans, welcome to another Conversations with Your Lab, March 2021. I can't believe it. We're already in March. Well, spring is coming and spring is already here for a lot of folks. So today we want to talk about how to edit your marketing campaigns to maximize sales. This has been one of our most popular features, most asked about questions for how this particular feature set works. And so we want to talk about that today. We're going to talk about how to use these marketing campaigns and how they're built into the platform so they can save you time and help grow your income. And we want to show you, we're going to do a live demo on how you can edit some of these pre-made campaigns, make some copies, and make some special ones for those special events. So let's check it out. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to another Conversations with Your Lab. This is the March edition. And I can't believe it. It's already March. Spring is right around the corner. And for some folks, spring has already started. So this is going to be some exciting times. And so today we want to talk about a bunch of things, but really what we do, we want to focus in particularly on how to be able to edit some of your marketing campaigns on hhImagehost to maximize sales. So basically, we want to show you about some of the hhImagehost marketing campaigns. If you're not familiar with that are those that are pre-built into the platform, so you can modify those, or how to make some of your own. And then I'm going to show you how to do all that so that you can make some of your own, and then be able to assign those to specific events that you're going to be running this spring. And then we'll have some, if there's some time left over, we'll have some open-ended email marketing questions. If you have those, we'll play a little stump the chump game, if that's all right. But before we get going into that, just want to do some quick updates and some announcements. It's time for announcements. First announcement is, if you're not getting those texts on our updates from the lab on our service time, right now for our schools and sports, we're running at about 2 to 3 days in lab. So we are back in our sweet spot. We're rocking and rolling, and we really haven't deviated from that, if I'm being honest, very much. This fall, our peak was 3 to 4 days. That's crazy. So there's a lot of factors with that, a lot of internal factors and some external ones that control that. But I was just crazy to report that. So, but looking into the spring, we are geared up. We're excited. We're ready to go. I'm a little excited today, if you can't tell, but I'm just ready for spring. I'm a spring guy. I love spring and summer. The whole off thing, bring back summer. That's me right there. But I'm getting a little off topic here. So let's bring this back. David, why don't you help bring us back here? What's going on at the lab? What are you working on, man?
First, good morning or good afternoon, no matter, depending on what time zone you're in. And we are in the mode right now of finishing up our summits. We did imaging, of course. We did SPAC. I've been talking to a lot of different of you to help us plan for this first quarter. So we're 2/3 the way through the first quarter now, and we're pivoting on what we're doing the project planning now for what we need to have done in June. June is, in our mind, what we have to have finished for fall, because we all say fall, but fall really starts in earnest at the beginning of August, doesn't it? For some people, even the end of July. So for us, we have to have everything done in June so that we're ready for all of that. So that's what we're doing. But then we're also planning on how we're going to spend the second half of the year for development, product development, and software development. And so we're taking all the feedback that we've been receiving in our one-on-one conversations in our groups and all those things and boiling that down into our plan. So that's very good. I'm excited about where we're going. I'm very thankful for you guys' feedback. There's a number of projects we talked about that we thought were important. You guys said, nope, not important at all. And I'm really grateful for that, because I want to work on stuff that matters to you guys. So that's super, super helpful. The second thing that we're hearing right now is a lot of weakness and shakiness in the large vertically integrated companies. There is from all over the country. There's more opportunity than ever right now for the independent. So we're staying on our toes. I mean, I got a call yesterday from 2 different people on Sunday saying, I just got a call today, being on Sunday, from a school saying they wanted a presentation on Tuesday. Send me your stuff so that I can go and call on this school. So I think we're all just going to have to stay agile and listening, and able to respond to these sports and schools organizations that realize their other photographer isn't around anymore, or the straw that broke the camel's back, and they're now looking for another photography partner. So I think we all need to stay agile. And the other thing we need to do is to stay in contact, because the calls that they're making are based on relationship. They're calling someone that they feel like they can trust, that they can call to just take care of picture day for sports or schools. And so it's a super important time right now to be out and calling those people that you've been in touch with for a while, that you'd like to do business with, and just stay in touch with them and say, hey, how you doing? Just touching base. And then I would say have a plan for how you want to grow. You get to decide how much you want to grow. The market is ripe for it. We're planting the seeds now. The rain is coming. But you may not want to grow all that much, or you may want to grow a ton, but have an idea together on how much you want to grow so that you can field those calls when they come in. So that's kind of an industry side things. As far as the lab is doing very well. We just finished a Kaizen. A Kaizen is a process improvement event for lean manufacturing that we put together a team of employees, some from inside the department and some from from outside the department. So it's a mixture of fresh eyes and people who are veterans in that area. And we re-engineer a process. We move furniture around, we reduce travel distance, we look at what remakes have been coming in, and we redo that entire area. And so there's been a crew tearing out walls here. So yes, if you haven't been in the lab for a couple of years and you come back, it's going to look different again because we keep moving stuff around. And we're moving shipping into the production areas, which means it's not a separate department. So school and sports does their own shipping. When they're done putting envelopes in the boxes, they close the box, put the label on it, and ship it out. Same thing for large prints. We're moving it into albums. So it's not a separate department. And that is another step that we expect will reduce service time and also reduce any quality issues that happen. So that's been happening the last couple of weeks along with the follow-up. So we're getting ready for spring. We're super excited to come out of COVID and go into some warmer weather and start to really rock and roll. So we appreciate you guys this last couple of months, especially with all the communication, because it's really helped us set our priorities for what we work on.
Awesome. Thanks for that update, David. And just to reiterate what he said, it is crazy how many conversations there are right now for the opportunities that are just falling in people's laps. That is not something that David's saying flippantly. We're hearing it all over the place. So if you want to get in on that, now is the time to start making those relationships and those contacts and developing those more than you already are, or just start creating some of those new ones or calling on some of those schools you don't have before. It is a fantastic time if you want to grow your business in the, especially in the school photography market right now, and in the seniors as well, from what I'm hearing. So, well, cool. Thanks for that, David. Also, a few other announcements if you hadn't heard or you hadn't seen it in one of our emails. We've had some recent updates, and one of those updates that I think some of you are going to be very excited to hear about is we have a new product that we've just released just last week, if I remember right. And that is the 11x14. So now the 11x14 is available in HH schools for your individuals. So it's been there for teams, but now you can get it for your individuals. I know that's something that a lot of you that are doing, especially preschool or volume seniors, have been asking for a lot of, and we have finally got that out there for you. That's in a horizontal, vertical. We've got it in luster and in pearl. And the prices on that, depending on the color correction method, are going to be between 561 and 789 for those individual prints. So yay, that's in there. And that's going to be in your latest HH Schools update. So that's going to be there for you. So Noel, maybe that helps you with your price list that you're setting up right now. Also, if you hadn't heard, we just finished our Schools 201 class. That was something we completed last week. We have changed the game on how we are teaching and holding some of our classes here at H&H. We still wholeheartedly believe in the power and value of in-person education, but we realize there's times in the year where you just need to get that information sooner than when we have that class regularly, that once a year. And we also realize that travel is not as easy as it used to be in certain times. You're busier in other ways, and so it's harder to get away. And so for that content that we're able to teach lecture style or group conversation style like this, we want to have those conversations when they're relevant to you. And the first iteration of that was just last week when we had several of us, and some of you that were in this room right now, actually take our Schools 201 course, specifically to help you learn how to go out and sell and get more schools. So it was very, very relevant to this time of year, to what's happening in the industry right now. And we're happy to be able to have that class. I think it went fantastic. And honestly, I can't wait to have it again. I know I can't believe I'm already saying that. It was exhausting getting everything together, but it's kind of one of those good exhausted that post-workout, like I really accomplished something, to get that out there. And so I was very, very happy, pleased with that. Big props to Amy Drum for the logistic nightmare that we had to get everything together and talk to folks that weren't actually in the same room as us. But it seemed to pull off very, very well. So thank you for that. And I'm looking forward to the next one. Speaking of the next one, this summer, we're actually going to be having our boot camps. So this summer, we've always had our schools boot camp for like 3 days. And then a couple of weeks later, then we're going to have our sports boot camp for another 3 or 4 days. And you all have kind of said, should I just hang out in Kansas City for a week? Should I go to both? Should I go to one? Which one should I go to? And so to help condense that, help to make that a little bit easier for everyone, we're actually going to condense that to 1 week. So for 1 week, you can come to Kansas City for 5 action-packed days of photography, education, and of fun. So basically from June 14th to June 18th, we're going to have a week-long volume education boot camp. And it's going to have, we're going to have a whole day. Monday is going to be a whole day for school photography. We're going to have a live school photography shoot and teach you how to send that order in immediately that afternoon. Tuesday, the next day, we're going to talk about sales on kind of what we're talking about today, how to make the most of sales for parents, but also we're going to do some mock sales for getting the bids and board presentations. So we know that's a big kind of scary factor for some folks. We want to help you crush that. After that, the next day, we're going to have a knockout day. We're going to go through all of the logistics and setting up and photographing, actually green screen, blue screen, masters, and environmental extraction. And we're going to have most of the afternoon to talk about virtual teams, on how to create virtual groups and some of the tools with that. So that's all going to be happening. Oh, yeah. Then the next day, Thursday, we're going to have our sports boot camp day, where we're going to talk about we're actually going to do it. We're going to go out onto the field and have a live league sports shoot. And then that later on that day, we're going to come back inside and we're going to do some sports mini sessions. So that's going to be super exciting. And then to cap that all off on Friday, we're going to be having a dance boot camp seminar where we're going to have live dancers come in. We're going to show kind of some of how dance photography is a little bit different than sports, and there's posing is very important, and lighting, and it's really how to get that blend of that artistry, but also being efficient with your time and being able to maximize sales with that as well. So it's going to be a whirlwind of a week. It's going to be exhausting. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited about that. If any of that sounds interesting to you at all, I would encourage you to go check that out on our website. I see Amy just posted the link in the chat. It's going to be $395, I think, for the week. So it's like $75 a day is really what that breaks down to. So we're really super excited to be able to bring all that content packed into that 1 week. I'm exhausted just talking about it, but I'm so excited. Also with that, our next class, before that even happens, our next class is actually coming up next week, as a matter of fact, and that is our Schools 101. 2 weeks. Amy's correcting me here. In 2 weeks, I'm getting excited. I'm getting ahead of myself here. So in 2 weeks, we're going to be having our Schools 101 course, and so that bookends or complements that Schools Day that we're talking about coming up in June. What we're trying to do there is we want to focus on the basics of school photography. And so this is a beginner level type of workshop that allows you to understand the business of and how to sell to, and some of the business planning that goes into. So not just the logistics of picture day, but some of all the other stuff that goes in with school photography. That's coming up on March 15th through the 18th. So there's only about 2 weeks left to sign up for that class. If you're wanting to get started in that, go check that out. It is an online class, so you won't be traveling here. It'll be an online where we'll have, almost half, if not half the content will be group discussions. And then the other half will be video lectures, and we'll have some assignments and some reviews for you as well. That's coming up March 15th. And then right on the heels of that is we're having our Sports 101. So our Sports 101, just like our Schools 101, we're trying to complement what's happening with that boot camp. And for the business side and the sales side, being able to prepare those types of things now, because we know a lot of you are having to make sales presentations now for this upcoming summer or for this upcoming fall. And so we want to help you go out and get that business now. And then this summer, show you how to actually run that business, how to actually go out there and photograph and work up those orders immediately after. So the Sports 101 is coming up March 22nd through the 25th. That's an online course also. Schools 101, the 15th through 18th online. And then the Schools and Sports Boot Camp is this June, the 14th through the 18th. So, and that is in person here in Kansas City. So lots of exciting things happening in the education world, because we see right now how impactful that is being to your businesses. So we want to keep doing that. We want to have multiple times we can do that throughout this year. So look forward to seeing some of you there. And thank you for those folks that were here last week for the 201 for schools. That was a fantastic time. And I hope you got as much out of that as I did. So thank you all for being part of that and making that great. But we're not just doing education here at the lab. We are still continuing to develop new products and features. So in addition to the 11x14, we also did an update to our Magic Crop. So this past fall, we were able to reach our 2020 goal for Magic Crop of 500,000 images. So with the help of Magic Crop together, we were able to save over 1,000 hours of cropping, resulting in faster delivery in over 500,000 families across the country. But we didn't want to stop there. We knew the spring's a little bit different. You're usually not doing just head and shoulders. You're doing some other types of poses. And so we made some improvements to that Magic Crop algorithm, and we now have a version that you can use for 3/4 length. So in January, we launched a Magic Crop 3/4 length option, so that you can now, again, continue to cut your cropping time in half for not just the head and shoulders, but also the half length or 3/4 length poses that you're going to be photographing this spring. If you're interested in learning more about how to do that, or you want to get some credits to sign up for that, I'm posting a link to that in the chat right now. Whew. All right. Well, I catch my breath. I would like to take some time and just kind of open this up just for 5 or 10 minutes. We've got a lot to talk about today in the short amount of time we have left, but for the next 5 to 10 minutes, I'd like to talk about what are you looking forward to most this spring. So go ahead and unmute yourself and tell us why you're doing, what you're looking forward to this spring, and help us motivate us, help us celebrate some wins with you right now. So what's going on this spring that you're looking forward to?
You got to raise your hand. I feel like you have to raise your hand.
All right. Shiloh, yes, you go ahead.
So Rodney is on his way to South Carolina to sell to all the schools that feed into a new high school we got. And we booked an elementary that was not photographed this year. They were photographing at the end of the month.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. What else is going on this spring?
With me, I'm on my way to pick up baby chickens.
Okay. Not what I expected you to say, but all right.
It is that season.
It is. I'm driving to Polk, Ohio to pick up 6 fancy chickens.
Fancy chickens for some fancy chicken. All right. Maybe make some fancy tacos later. Somebody else, what are you looking forward to this spring?
I have a question if no one wants to talk. Since we've been shooting the 35 millimeter format for a long time now, will the industry ever pivot that way? When you say 11 by 14, I shudder on crop. It's darn near square.
Mm-hmm. We are definitely seeing in wall decor a shift to like the 12 by 18, 16, 24, 24, 36. Those didn't used to be a thing. Yeah. As far as portraits, the thing driving that is, there's a few things. First of all, I think it's the frames that are available in the stores.
Michael's, Hobby Lobby, et cetera, are still stuck in 1944.
Yeah. And I think also it's a language that people understand. When you think of the 8 by 10, that's the typical portrait. And so when you're talking head and shoulders, most people between, the 5 by 7s on one end of tall and skinny and the 8 by 10s on the other end and the 11 by 14s in the middle. I think people are so far, there's no consumers complaining. We added the 11 by 14 because it's a traditional portrait side, senior side print size. From a manufacturing standpoint, it means we need to print it somewhere else and then deliver it back to the production cell. And that's why we held off for so long. But yeah, do I see in the short run us going to an 8 by 12 type print size? I don't. Both from a consumer standpoint for framing and from a manufacturing standpoint for printing, there's a whole lot more waste around that. But we have 7 by 10 in there on some of the stuff, and we don't see it purchased very often at all.
Yeah.
I sell an 8 by 12 now and hand a pair of scissors.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Good question. Somebody else, what are you guys working on this spring?
Sean, we're stoked to have a spring. Dance studios are ready. Our schools are ready. I have a full calendar that a year ago today, I was living my best life in San Diego and margaritas. And a week later, we were shut down. So I think where we come in a year, I'm still going to live my best life with margaritas, but hopefully I'm making some money this year. So I'm just cautiously optimistic to keep my full schedule. And if we make it till June, then we'll be feeling good.
Yes. Awesome. We'll need to celebrate with a margarita together sometime.
All the margaritas every day.
Oh, every day. I can't keep up with that. Sounds fantastic. Awesome. Well, cheers to you on that. That's awesome. All right. We got time for one more. Somebody tell me what you're working on this spring.
My sports on Wednesday this week for all of my high schools and middle schools. Those will all be completed from fall and spring as of Wednesday. We are approaching a middle school that we're actually doing their choir, orchestra, and band tomorrow. There's 461 kids in this group. So this is a first endeavor. We're doing all these on green screen and putting them together for their team group. And so we did the high school band back in the fall, 150 members, and turned out really well. And so that allowed me to pick up this group right here. So this works well for us. Then we're going to be able to, we've got 4 more schools right here that we could pick that up, and about another 1,800 kids that would be able to take advantage of and see how well that does.
Fantastic. Yeah, I know a lot of folks, as much as they're looking forward to spring, are also looking forward to finishing fall. Some of us had to, bleed over some of those fall shoots into spring, or they're getting the calls from the larger companies, schools saying, "Hey, we never had fall. Can you help us out this spring for our fall photo shoot so we can have a yearbook this year? Or we can have our ID cards." And so that's fantastic, man. I love it. I love hearing about it. Well, hey, let's jump over to the topic for today, which is how to edit your marketing campaigns to help maximize your sales. So we've done a video like this before, and we just talked about what are the campaigns and what's the sales funnel. And we use some words like prospect and lead and buyer. And I don't want to unpack all of that again. That video you can go back and watch, but I do want to cover those three words again, those three terms, because they're very, very important to understanding how hhhimagehost marketing works. And so the first one I used was prospect. And so prospect, if that's a new term for you, when you see that in hhhimagehost, what that means is this is someone that we're going to be selling to. So if this was a flyer only sale, if you're only selling with flyers, this would be someone that you would give a flyer to. So these are all of the students in the school or all of the players on the team or in the league. Those are all your prospects, your potential buyers, right? And so we label them a prospect because they haven't necessarily engaged with you yet. They haven't said, yeah, I'm interested in ordering pictures, or yeah, I want to order pictures. They're just first becoming familiar or understanding that picture day is happening, and still need to learn a little bit more about that before they make that decision necessarily. So prospects is that first one. The second one that we see in there is called leads. And leads are just the next progression from a prospect. So that's someone that said, I understand picture day is coming. I'm interested in buying, but I haven't made a purchase yet. And so there's a specific definition for what that looks like in hhhimagehost on how we classify those. And what that means is for someone to be a lead in hhhimagehost, they have logged into an event. So they've received a marketing email or a marketing text message from you, and they've logged into an event and have looked around in the gallery. Maybe they've picked a pose if this is a proof sale, or for prepaids, they've browsed some of your package options. But for some reason, they did not check out. They did not complete that order. And this could be they had a question about a package. They didn't understand what a memory mate was. The kid ran through the living room with their hair on fire, and they had to go deal with that. Who knows? For some reason, they weren't able to complete that order. They either had questions, confusion, or they got distracted. And so what we want to do is we want to help bring them back to the shopping cart. We want to bring them back to that event to help them complete that purchase. And so with a lead, we need to give them a good reason to do that. And so we're going to talk about that when we unpack these campaigns a little bit further. But that's what a lead is. And then a buyer, we all love the buyers. Just you love buyers. Okay, everybody say it with me. I love buyers. All right. A buyers is your actual customer. This is someone that has paid for a package. They've ordered prints from you. They've ordered a package from you. And so what we want to do is we want them to feel good about that order. We want them to not have that buyer's remorse and ask for a refund. We want them to know, okay, I placed an order. What's next? When should I get my packages? What's coming up after that? What do I do now? We want to help answer some of those questions so that you can you can help alleviate some of those phone calls and emails you're getting. But also we can just, again, help them make sure they have that good buying experience so that we turn them from a customer to an advocate. We want them to say, I had a great experience with Schoolhouse Photography or, whatever your studio name is. And I want them to photograph my son's baseball team, which they don't have. And so you now have someone talking with that league on your behalf, and you've got an advocate for you. And so the way we do that is we create amazing experiences in this sale so that we can create amazing experiences, amazing opportunities, other places as well. And so prospects, leads, and buyers. And those three words are very, very important to understanding how this works. So before I go any further, is there any questions about what a prospect, lead, or buyer looks like on ImageHost? Be brave, ask your questions. I want to make sure we're all on the same page before we go any further. Rochelle, I see your hand there. Thanks for being brave. Tell me what's up.
So my question with the prospect.
Yeah.
Is it new to just this campaign, or is it all across the board? They've never been on an event whatsoever.
Good question. Good question. So for hhImagehost specifically, the prospect is going to be for that particular event. So they may have ordered pictures. So if this is let's say school sports, and they're a 2-sport athlete, right? They may have already ordered football, but baseball season's coming. So they were a buyer, whether they're a buyer or not in football, we're marketing to them again for this baseball event. And so they've started over in that funnel as a prospect. So we need to let them know spring sports picture day is coming. And here's how you're going to buy. And this is when picture day is, and those sort of details.
Okay.
So ImageHost knit together previous buyers.
I'm sorry, Bob, ask that question one more time.
ImageHost brings together previous buyers to a database engine. So Johnny Smith buys from me in spring of 20, and he shows up in spring of 22. Johnny's going to come back together. And how fussy is it? Does everything need to be spelled the same address, same parents? Does it, is it seamless, or do I have two kind of Johnny Smiths?
I think you're getting a step ahead of me here, but the short answer is that in HH schools, you get to see who your buyers are, and hhImagehost pushes all of the buyer information to HH schools when you import the CSV. hhImagehost also keeps track of your buyers as well, but there's not a connection between two events. So if there's something that you're trying to solve there, let's talk about that after this. But the short version is yes, we know who the buyers are.
You're saying, you just made a comment that someone bought football. Now you're chasing for baseball. How does it communicate that I know that before?
Right. What I'm saying is it doesn't matter if they bought in football or not. For the baseball event, we want them to know when baseball picture day is. So we don't want to just market to the buyers or to the leads.
But I think the important part, I think to the core of your question, Bob, if I'm reading you right, is you're gathering, because of your relationship with an organization that has multiple photography events throughout the year and even within the same season, ImageHost is not coordinating across those events at this point. It is giving you the opportunity to upload a set of leads, lead contacts to an event, and that event will manage communication for the different stages of them engaging with that event. But it's not a overall drip campaign for your relationship with all your clients. Right. It is an event specific thing. But you can, if you know that, you have a bunch of kids from basketball that are now in track, you can download your list of contacts from your basketball season and upload those that you choose into the track event to use those as some of your leads.
And is that a goal to eventually coordinate families and become the sports photographer for the family, or the sports school photographer?
I think we would have a lot to learn before we could do that effectively. Right now, we're learning a lot about how you all each want to handle marketing just on an event basis. So we have some stock campaigns that we've created and pushed out to your accounts, but we're finding most people want to customize those. So I'm going to say not in the near future, but it doesn't mean no forever, because we're learning, every week we're learning from you guys on what you need to continue to grow. My belief is that the photography business is a personal business. And so there is some value for sure about automated communication with a list of clients. But at the end of the day, most of the actual business is going to be done by asking for the business, booking it with the organization, booking it with the school, connecting with that senior, connecting with that family, and then putting them in an automated campaign once you have a mass of people that you're driving toward a volume shoot. But I don't know. We're always learning.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Noelle, what's up?
So I have a quick question because I think the prospect is if I'm doing a proof plan, that's really not going to come into play, correct or not correct?
Not necessarily. So prospects are those that you photograph the proofs of, right? That now we need a way of letting them know that their images are available to view online, right?
But if the school does not give me email addresses or anything other than the name, then that nixes that, correct?
Yeah. So a whole separate conversation is how do we get the prospect lists, right? And so we'll have that as a separate conversation. But the short version is, in that case, yeah, you are not going to be really using a prospect campaign if you're not getting those emails ahead of time. Really, now we're going to start collecting that information as they become leads, as they log into the event. But you still have to solve the problem of helping them understand where they need to go, where's the link, right? And what's the passcode or passcodes they need to use to view their particular images. And so whether that's a flyer or a flyer and an email, or a flyer and email and a text message, there's got to be some way of directing that communication to letting them know where they need to go. And so email is a tool to do that, but we also have those amazing proof flyers that we can do that as well to drive them to that particular event. Does that help?
Yeah, I don't need to go any further. Thanks.
And Sean,
Yeah.
You're saying email, but it's email and text as well within the same campaign. So just to make sure everybody knows that, email is typically easier to get in the school and sports data than cell phone number, but ask for both, for heaven's sakes, because the thing that drives this is simplifying the school or sports organization's life. And generally, if the communication is, hey, we're going to send 4 emails in order to make sure parents know about picture day, and we can follow up with them in an automated way so you don't have to mess with this. That's a different conversation than turn over your marketing list so I can market to everybody. That's a very different conversation. So, but it takes some time to develop that for sure. But this last year has done more to move the needle on organizations providing contact data than anything we've seen in the last 5 years. And we think it's going to continue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just want to say, I think for me, like my homeschool co-op, now that I've got the relationship with them, I think that might be something next year I can ask from them, because then it takes all of that off of them and they don't see me as we've trusted you for 2 years. Now you're teaching here, like you're good. You're not some strange person coming in and we don't know you. So
yeah, and I think the other part is you may want to plant the seeds now and say, hey, I want you to know there's some new capabilities that I've got. So an option is that if you can give me the cell phone and email information, then I can communicate directly with the parents. So something to think about, no pressure right now. And then you can come back later with the heat turned up a little bit to say, hey, let's go ahead and do that. Just send me over the data. And there's an easy unsubscribe with any of those. Of course, we never want to send people messages that they don't want to receive. It just kind of turning things up a little.
is that also a really good place where you can say, hey, don't forget parents, picture day is tomorrow, or no?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's
All right.
powerful. That's powerful because, sometimes, especially in sports, half the battle is just getting the flyer home to mom and dad so they know when picture day is happening, let alone can they place an order. And so, we absolutely not only want to give them an option to buy, but let them know when their picture day is. So I know for a lot of folks with the complex schedules they've run into this year, picture day isn't just one day. It's, if you're A through C, it's Monday. If it's, D through F, it's Tuesday. Those things have changed a little bit. And so we need to be able to communicate this more complex schedule to folks so they know when picture day is. And emails and text messages are a great way to do that. And so, Clay.
Hey there, Sean.
Hey.
I can tell you from looking at these marketing numbers that I see for myself on hhImagehost, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because I've kind of tested it over probably going back the last 90 days. And so if I take a week off and I don't do the Twitter side of things to my sports teams, I see a significant drop off in my online sales. So when I do, these marketing campaigns are going out. Plus on top of that, I'm tweeting out to ABC High School boys basketball team, hey, pitcher day, here's the link, and go forward with that. I mean, I'm seeing about a 15 to 18% increase in my buy rate just from the marketing campaign and me being proactive on the Twitter side. And it doesn't work in every situation. I mean, I've got some middle schools, they don't have a Twitter page but still, for those that do, with this targeted marketing campaign that y'all are doing, plus me hitting the Twitter side on the high school sports, it's made a big difference for me.
Awesome. Thanks for that testimonial. And 15 to 18% increase in buy rate. That's fantastic, man. That's fantastic. I love hearing that. So you've taken the emails and texts and you've added social media marketing on top of that. Nice work, sir. Nice work. Well, hey, let's move into the actual demo. Let's talk about, okay, these campaigns, they sound interesting. I at least want to try them. How do I make sure they are saying what I want them to say and they're going out when I want them to go out? So let's jump into that with the time that we have left here. Let me switch over to share screen. And this one. All right. Everybody see my screen right now? Can I get a thumbs up from somebody? All right. So, and then there's always a lovely little Zoom toolbar in the way. Let's move that. There we go. So I'm logged into our demo site here, Schoolhouse Photography. And in Schoolhouse Photography, I've gone to this marketing tab so I can see all of our marketing campaigns that we've created in our marketing library here. And so first thing you're going to see is obviously our time zone, and we are in the central time zone. So I've set that there. So the times make sense to me, because when you send out messages, not only say what day they're going to go out, but also what time of day are they going to go out. And so we want to make sure those times make sense to us. But then down below here is where all of the campaigns are. So each row you're seeing here is a different campaign. So each of these are different campaigns, and we've divided them up by event type, by sales event type. So we've got our prepay campaigns, we've got our proof campaigns, and we have our second sale campaigns.
And Sean, that's just how you've created them. The studio can create as many campaigns and name them whatever they want, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to get to that, but you're absolutely correct. So when you go in there, if you haven't touched it at all before, you're just going to see 3 campaigns for each of those sales types. You're going to see a prospect, a lead, and a buyer. Remember those 3 terms: prospect, lead, and buyer. They're coming back up right here. And so we can see we've got a campaign for our prospects, we've got a separate one for our leads, and a different one for our buyers. And the reason why is, as you're selling with someone, even with your in-person conversations, as you're selling with someone, the conversation changes as they change in that sales funnel. So at first, in that prospect, again, we want to make sure that they're aware of Picture Day and what they need to do for Picture Day or to place an order. For leads, those are our lost sales. So those are folks that abandon their shopping carts. And so we need to get them to come back. So we want to have a different conversation with them there, right? And then buyers, we don't want to continue to pester them to place an order when they've already done that. Sure, if they want to place another order, great. We're not going to stop them. But the conversation is now changed from, will you please place an order, or you need to buy now before you miss out, to, thank you for placing your order. Here's what you should expect next. And so we want to be able to handle that conversation, but we want to do that in a simple and seamless way for you, because all these conversations are going to be happening in the middle of March or in the middle of September, when we're all crazy busy, and we need to be focused on getting those jobs photographed, getting them sold, and getting them sent to the lab so we can get pictures back in parents' hands. And so we want to be able to have this image host be able to manage those conversations and change the conversation as that person changes in the sales funnel. So with that being said, up here in prepay, I've actually gone in and done some changes. You can see here, somebody's gone in and added 3 more different types of campaigns. They've added one for soccer, another one for baseball, and then this is just a test one that somebody's been playing around with. What I want to show you is how can I take one of these stock campaigns, make some tweaks for this spring, and use that for my events this coming spring. That's the goal we want to accomplish today. And so for me, I'm using my Get in the Game sports flyer. So this is the program I'm using this spring. And so I want to have my graphics look like this. I want to talk about some of the products and packages. And I want to make sure this is a nice cohesive experience so that the sales flyer matches the online packages, which matches the email and text marketing. This all looks like one cohesive plan. So we have one cohesive conversation going on there. So what I'm going to do is I've already gone in and I've cut apart some of these graphics from this PDF from my sales flyer so I can use this in my campaigns. Now, how do I get that in here, right? So what you're going to do is I'm going to grab my prepay prospect campaign. So these are the folks I need to tell them picture day is coming and here's the link to buy. To make a copy of this, we click on this little copy button right here. It's going to pull up all the broadcasts we have in this campaign. And this one, there's 6 of them, right? And it's going to ask us, what do we want to call this? And so we're going to call this our spring Get in the Game prepay prospect campaign. And you can name this whatever makes sense to you. Just like a price list in HH schools, shorter is better, but make sure it's descriptive enough so that you know what it's used for and when it's going to be used, so that when you select that from a list, you know what to expect. So once I have that set, I'm going to hit save, and it's made a copy of this campaign. So this is a separate campaign. It is available to use right now, but it's not being used in any events right now. In this particular campaign, I want to go in and I want to change out how many messages are being sent. I don't want to send 6. I only want to send 4. And I want to change when some of these are being said and how they're being said. So let's just start marching through this one by one here real quick. First one, obviously, I normally hand out flyers a couple weeks before picture time. And so I want to send out a broadcast, an email or a text message at that same time as well to help maximize that opportunity. So I'm going to come in here to this first campaign, this first broadcast right here, and I'm going to click on edit. And so I can change this one now. So when I click edit here, it pulls up all the message composer information. So the first section up here is what is the description for this particular broadcast. And this one's fine. Picture day is coming. I don't need to really change that. And then down below here, we have when it's being sent, what time of day, and what day it's being sent. And so on this one, I'm actually going to send it out 14 days before event date. So before that first picture date. That event date is something that gets pulled from the event. So when I create an event for the spring sports, I'm going to plug in the event date or the publish date or expiration date. I'm going to put those things in there. And so this campaign will pull from those dates and send it out 14 days before that event date.
Sean, can I ask you one question? Sorry, real quick.
Yeah.
How are you're talking like you're making this specifically to one campaign or one event? How did you already explain how you did that? Did I miss that?
No, we haven't got to that part yet.
Okay. That's all.
Yeah. So after flash forward, after we finish editing this event or this campaign, excuse me, I'm getting my words crossed. After we finish editing this campaign, I'm going to show you how you can assign this campaign to a particular event or to a set of events. Okay. And so, but first we need to modify it so that it's ready to send. And then I'll show you how to assign it to an event. Cool. All right. So the first thing I want to do is I want to say when I want to send it. And I actually do. I want to send this one 14 days before picture day. But if I wanted to change that, I could say 21 here, or I can say, 13, whatever that is. But you get to set when that's being sent out relative to that event date or the published date or the expiration date. And then from there, we want to get into, okay, for each broadcast, there's two parts to it. The first part is the email, and the second part is the text message. So each broadcast has both an email portion and a text message portion, so that regardless of how we're getting the information, we can engage them on the channel that they want to communicate with us on. So if we're getting both emails and text messages, and and they're opening their text messages, but not their emails, which is a known statistic, people are more likely to open their text messages before their emails, and we can engage them there and keep the conversation going. And we'll keep that updated as they progress through that funnel. But for the first part, because emails are easier to get a hold of for schools and for leagues, we want to cover that portion first. And so with the email, the first step we want to adjust is, what is the subject of the email? So this particular one, we were saying we want to put in the name of the event. And so we want to say spring SCA sports picture day is coming, right? So we want to pull whatever that event name is and add the words picture day is coming. And so this little funny event name with the characters around it, we call a keyword. This is really similar to something that you're going to find in HH schools when you set up your price lists and you do your text mapping. What we're doing is we're pulling unique information from the event that you're putting into the event to help personalize this email, so we can make it special and relevant to this particular conversation. And so we've got things like event name or studio logo or date or message. All those sort of things are special keywords you can use to help customize and personalize each of these broadcasts. The full library of that is at the bottom of the message composer page. So you can see all the different keywords right here where you're going to be using them to set up this broadcast. All those are going to be pulled right there. But once we have our subject set for what we want the subject of the email to say, now we need to get into, what does the email actually say? So for this particular one, I want it saying the studio logo. It's going to pull my logo from hhImagehost. And then I've got my header here, and I've got this hero image, this static image here. I want to change that out, but we'll get to that. And then we've got, what does the email actually say? And then a link to the event. So let's start making some changes in here. Let's say for this, maybe I want to have this image before this header. I kind of like how that looks. So we're going to grab this and we're going to drag it up in front of picture days coming. So now it's going to look like this, but I don't really like that image here. So maybe I want to swap out this image for something that matches more of what my flyer looks like, right? To do that, I can just click on this image and it pulls up this little dialog right here. And this dialog, it asks for the link to the image I want to replace it with. So where is that posted online? If I have any alternate text, so if someone's email is set up to not view images, I can put in some alternate text right here if I want to, or I can leave that blank. And what size do I want to make this image? Now, as far as the size goes, there's not a particular specific size dimensions you need to use. I would, however, recommend you make them no wider than 600 pixels, which is this dimension right here. The height can adjust based off of the aspect ratio of the image you want to use, but I wouldn't make it any wider than 600 pixels so that it looks good in that email. So actually, I've already grabbed a link to an image that I want to use. Let me copy that, and I'm going to paste that in here. And I'm going to change the size to 600. So now I've got that get in the game graphic that I've pulled from my flyer here, so that it all kind of matches in here now. Then I can come in. Yeah.
Is those pictures located in ImageHost now in a resource folder or something? You'd put them all there, so you grab them?
They're not, so no, they are not. There's not a library posted on ImageHost for these images, but that's That's actually a really good idea. I'd like to see how we can do that. Good question, though. Good question. So for this, but the point I think, Mark, you're trying to make is where can I get images like this and have them to use? And so I can share some of these links with you, but really what I've done is I've created an event on hhImagehost and posted these images there so that I can link to them and use them in my marketing campaigns. So these are just poses in an event. It's a bit of a workaround, if I'm being honest. And so one of the things we want to do to update this is add the ability for you to upload images right here in the message composer to use in your campaigns. So that's a feature that we want to work on, that we plan on working on in the second quarter, which is not something that's available today for you. So there's some workarounds that you can do with that.
So Sean, could you put those like in a Google Drive and have them there and link to a Google Drive? Would that work?
Thanks for setting me up on that one, Amy. I appreciate it.
it.
No, you're good.
I'm just curious. I'm just curious how that works.
Yes. So Google Drive in particular is not one that I would recommend because of how that was where I first started this idea. And the problem with Google Drive is the link that you get for the image is actually a link to where you can go to view the image. It's not a link to the image itself. It's important, but very distinctive nuance right there, that the Google Drive gives you the link to view the image on that page, but not necessarily the link to that specific image. And so it's Google Drive is not one that I would use in that case. If this is something that you already have posted on your business website, you can pull from that. Or we can set up another demo and I can show you how to create an event on hhImagehost and upload these images to that event. And that's what I've used in this particular case is I've just gone through on my ImageHost account and uploaded these graphics to a marketing event so I can pull from those images. But again, we want to make this simpler and easier. So we're going to be adding a feature so that you can upload those graphics right here to this page. So stay tuned for that. All right. So once we've got the image set, maybe I want to change what this text says. Maybe instead of saying picture day is coming, I want to say picture day is in 2 weeks or something like that. Then down here, I can come in here and we can add in any more information as far as saying, we've worked hard here to create some great opportunities and deals for you. Picture day is coming. Don't miss out on your chance to remember your kids at this age. You can come in here and you can type whatever messages that you'd like to. You can say, you must. Let's see if we can all watch me type here. You must order before picture day. You can add messages like that, just as simply as you can add text to an email. So when you compose an email, you can type in the same thing you can do right here. We do have some formatting tools at the top of the screen here where you can adjust some of that formatting. So if you want to put in and make this text a little bit larger, you can do that. So I can highlight this and maybe I want to say, I want to make before picture day bold. Obviously, that's a really simple tool. We just click on the B icon there. And now that's made that particular text bold. So you can come in here, you can play with this. Meg, I saw you were playing with yours and you really decking that out to make that look fantastic. And so that is, so you can come in here and edit that however you want. Honestly, you don't need to have an image. If you just don't want an image at all, you can select that and delete it. And then you can just have a text only email as well. So there's no problem with that at all. And then down below here, we've got our text and then we've got our big link to go in and place an order. With each email and with each text message, I would encourage a strong call to action, a strong reason, something, okay, I've got information, I've taken it in. What do I do with this information? And that's where this call to action comes into place. And so for this one, we want to give one clear call to action to the view the packages or place an order or order now, something to that effect, some imperative to have them do now. And so we've got right here, our call to action is to view packages. So when we click on that, we can see this is actually a link to the event. So we're pulling the event link and using that as our link for this particular text here. And so we can see we've pulled that event URL from our library down below. This is the event for the login to the event. And we've made that by selecting the text and clicking on this link icon right here. And so that creates that view packages link. Then down below, we throw in a signature of saying, let us know if you have any questions, plug in my studio name and my contact info. And all that can be pulled from hhImagehost information there. So you can modify these emails however you'd like. That's all set right here. But then once you've done that, you're not done yet. For this particular broadcast, you actually need to go down a little bit further and you want to change or at least review the SMS. So the SMS is not SOS. We're not calling for help here. SMS is an acronym used by text messaging companies called Standard Message Service. What that means is that's a text-only text message. So it's not a media text message where we're sending a video or a GIF or an image of anything. Nothing, no images are being sent in those. It's a text-only type of text message. And the reason why we're doing that, one is for cost. It's going to be much more affordable to send out a large amount of text messages when they're text only, because there's less data that needs to be transferred. And two is there's more likelihood that those are going to be sent through. The text carriers, Sprint, AT&T, Verizon, those sort of folks have very, 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 very specific rules that they follow to make sure that people aren't spamming their customers. That's a very big, important thing to them. So much so that they won't tell you what those rules are, but they have very sophisticated algorithms to check those sort of things. And so we want to make these text messages accessible to as many of our prospects and leads buyers as possible. And so we're using a text-only method for these text messages to make it simple for them and more likely for them to get those messages so they can take action on those. And so for this particular text message, again, text messages are really short. We're not writing books here. You're not my sister-in-law that sends an 800-character text message. Drives me crazy. In our short text message, we've got some of those keywords you're seeing again. We've got SCA Spring Sports, pulling whatever that event name is. Picture day is coming, and then I've got a link to the event. So in here, there's going to have, again, that call to action, that link to take action in that particular event. So that's going to be listed right there when that text message is sent out. And we can see, we don't want to make very, very long text messages or SMS messages. And so we've got actually a character counter listed right here where we want to keep it under a certain amount of characters so that it looks good and it isn't getting broken up into 1 of 2, and then you get the 2 of 2 before the 3 of 2, those sort of things. We can have a one nice, clean, good-looking text message that's simple to read and simple to take action on. But once you've gone through and set when you want to send it, what the email version is saying, and what the text message version is saying, then you can come in here and click Save Changes. And now that one is set. But like I said before, I don't want to send 6. I only want to send 4. So how do I get rid of some of these? What you can do is you can say, maybe I don't want to send what should they wear. I don't want to send that one. So I'm going to hit delete, this delete button right next to that. When I click on that, it's going to ask me to confirm because this isn't an oops, I didn't mean to do that type of situation. When you click on that, you can hit delete, and it'll actually, after some processing, making sure that we're not deleting anything we shouldn't delete, it'll actually remove that. And so now I've only got 5. But like I said before, I want 4, I don't want 5. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to delete this other one. Right here again, I'm going to click this delete icon to delete this other message right here. Get rid of that. And now I have 4. So you can see how you can adjust to reduce the number of messages. Maybe I want to I come in here and delete this one. And I got to 3. Maybe after that, I come back and I change my mind. I want to add a 4th one to add one, it's very simple. You're actually just going to copy an existing broadcast. So to do that, we're going to grab this time is running out broadcast right here, click copy, and we can, again, change the name. And we can say 1 week to picture day, or however we want to say that. Come in here and make some changes on what I want it to say, when I want it to send, all those sort of things. And now I've got 4 broadcasts in this particular campaign. So you can see here, Noelle, what's up?
I don't have delete on some of mine, and maybe that's just me.
Yes, so you're not going to be able to delete the original campaigns, the stock ones that we've preloaded. If you make a copy of that one, then you can delete some of the broadcasts from that copy.
What if you like, I'm looking at so I'm on the lead campaign for my proof plan V2. I'm seeing 6, but I can't delete any of them. How do I make it so that they don't get one of them? Or can I make that change so that they don't get one? Because I don't want them to get that many.
Correct. So to do that, and we can hop on your screen after this to go through it together. But
okay, that's fine.
To do that, so like you've got this, you said you're on the proof campaign leads, and there's 6 of those. And so what we can do is there's no delete button right there, like you're saying. What we would do is we'd make a copy of this campaign, and we'll just call this our new proof campaign. Save that. And now you can start coming in here and deleting from that copy.
But the originals stay?
Yeah, so we'll still have the original to fall back on if you don't have anything else. But you can modify what those broadcasts say in the original. But if you want to modify how many messages are being sent out, then we want to make a copy of that campaign and make that change to the copy.
Okay, then one other question. Did I miss how we make that go to one specific campaign, or did you not go over that yet?
Specific event?
Like one of these things go to a specific event? Yes, I guess, event.
Yeah. Let's talk about that because we are over time, and I apologize for that. So once I've gone through, so let me go back to my marketing screen here. So I've got my spring Get in the Game prepay prospect campaign. I've finished it. I love it. It's got my 4 broadcasts. I'm happy with it. I just want to start using it. How do I do that? So when you come into your events tab, we can see we've got all our events running here. And so I've got my 2020 Sumner Spring Sports prepay event that's coming up, right? It's coming up and it's using my Get in the Game price list like I wanted to. So I want to change it to use my new campaign. To do that, we're going to click on the event, and we're going to bypass all this and click on Edit Event down at the bottom. So at the very bottom of the page, you click on Edit. And once you do that, now you're going to see this is where you would load all those emails. If you get the emails for the prospect campaign, you're going to load those all here. Or this is also where you can change the campaign. So there's those terms again, prospect, lead, and buyer. For the prospect campaign, we want to change that out from the default one to the one we just created. So I'm going to click on this edit button to the right of that particular campaign. And I can see a list of all the different prepay prospect campaigns I have created in my library. And so I want to choose that one we just set up. It's going to start 13 days before event date. So when I select that, it'll check it to confirm that's the one I want. And then I click save. And now it's updated it to use that new campaign in this event. And I can do that for the leads and the buyers as well. And so you would do that for each event that you create. If you want to use that, you're going to do that for each of those events. And then when you're done, you just click save to confirm. Rochelle.
Okay, sorry. So my question is at this point, because I have been so excited about this, because this is so advantageous to the company and for promoting. And Amy, I just have to give you an extra plug. That preview or test email option would be amazing at this point. I have so many times as I'm experimenting, like, I need that test. I voted for it. But anyway, so my question is, is there a max email or text that we can put in here in that CSV file? Is there going to be a maximum amount of prospects or leads that we put in there?
I think our developers made me put in something because they didn't like unlimited as an option. So I think the maximum number is like 99,999 or something like that.
Okay. I just have to ask because for us we just make getting the data, the emails and texts a part of what we ask for. We don't separate it out and we get it. So, maybe just include it for those that are struggling. So we always get a lot and that's not a problem. My other question about the CSV files, how many times can we upload? And if we upload a new, does it supersede the other and erase them?
So you get the initial set of data, and then you've got some latecomers. So how do I get those added, right?
Yes.
Through the exact same interface. When you go back and click on upload that prospect list, you can pull in that exact same interface. But sometimes the coaches didn't separate out, these are the latecomers. They just send you an updated list that contains the originals from before. Mm-hmm. Our system is smart enough to see those as already in a prospect campaign or already in a lead campaign or already buyers. And so it won't re-import those again. It won't start them back over as a prospect. It will skip those duplicates and just bring in the new ones. And so when you import that prospect list, it'll actually give you a confirmation message saying, we found 100 prospects, or we found 100 contacts here. We were successfully able to import maybe 55 of them or something, depending on how many were already in that funnel for that particular event. Okay.
And then my last question regarding the CSV, I would assume it's just a basic format that we need, an email column, a text column. Does it need to be more than that? Do we have to have them labeled?
It does not.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me go to that real quick, because that's a great point. So right now it's super, super broke down, super simple, in that we're only asking for 2 columns, one for email and one for cell phones. So we can see that right here in that spot where we're uploading that. It'll ask you for a CSV file. The file format should be, the first column should be email address, and the second column should be cell phone numbers. And you don't need to have a header in there. It knows to look for the first column has got an @ symbol, and it's got emails in it. So it's going to have first column A is emails, and column B is going to be cell phone numbers.
It almost just seemed too simple, so I had to ask.
No, you're just fine.
So
you're not the only one that's asked, so you're good. Now, what we are changing is we know that sometimes folks, don't always get the phone numbers, or they don't always get the emails. That's a little less likely, but sometimes they maybe only get the phone numbers. And so we're setting up the system so that you don't have to have a second column in there with a cell phone number for it to work. So that if you only have emails, you can just plug those in. But right now it does need you to have 2 columns in there, one for email and one for phone numbers. And if you don't get those phone numbers, what I would recommend doing is adding yourself as one of those contacts and putting in your email in the first column, and then right next to that, putting in your cell phone number so that it will import correctly into this particular event here.
And that way you can also see what's going out to your schools or sports leagues. So you can to change it if you need to. That's the proof for now.
And that's what I did. That's what I did, Amy. It totally worked. What about format for cell numbers? Dashes, no dashes? Doesn't matter.
It does not. It does not matter. So we've set it to accept dashes, periods, plus ones, parentheses around the area code. It knows to look for all those sort of things.
And Sean,
it does need 10 digits though. We're not going to fill in an area code for you. Yeah, Bob, what's up?
So, I've been around like as long as the lab has, so things change.
Things have changed, man.
There was a time that I was told that communicating through cell phones was off limit because it was the last piece of private earth that humans had. And stay away. Has that gone away? Is it now open territory to communicate on people's cell phones? Is it?
Yeah. Obviously, this is a decision you get to make with how you want to run your business. If that's something that's important to you, you don't have to use the phone numbers.
Oh, I love it. I'm wondering if it's considered ultra private still.
No, I would say it's not ultra private. I get text messages for different types of campaigns all the time. I've got one for my farmer's market. I get, hey, the produce, we got corn this week. Come check us out. I get, for my favorite Mexican food restaurant, I get a text message with a coupon on it. Text messages are not off limits anymore. They are considered more valuable than an email address. I don't know about you, but I'm more inclined to give someone one of my several email addresses before I'm going to give my cell phone number out. So it is going to be more valuable to me. So I'm going to be more careful about who I share that with. And so we want to, treat that as such. We want to treat this as something that's valuable, that's been trusted with us. And so that's why at the end of each email, there's always a single link, unsubscribe. And then if someone does not want to get a text message anymore, this is not something that I want to continue to be informed upon. They can reply STOP, and that will stop those, or unsubscribe, and that'll stop those messages from being sent out anymore. So it's not off limits, but we do need to treat it as a more valuable resource than email addresses.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sean, I think you did say this, but I think I missed it. As far as how many marketing campaigns we can use, sky's the limit.
How many can you create in your library?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have yet to see someone that's kind of maxed that out. Now, obviously, the more you add, the more you're going to be scrolling to find there. So just like at the end of a season, I would, as you're cleaning up old projects, I would clean up some old campaigns you're no longer going to use. But if you need to create, nuanced campaigns for specific special events, yeah, you can do that. There's not a hard 10 is the limit sort of thing.
Like I said, for us, this is such a major thing because we were heavily using MailChimp and Easy Text and a whole bunch of other. This really just brings it down to one and answers and solves a huge thing for us. So I'm up for a contest to see how many we can get going.
Well, I'm up for a contest to see how many sales you can get from this campaign.
Me too.
But yeah, no, there are fantastic email and text companies out there that already do things like this, like MailChimp, Constant Contact, Drip. Those are great companies, and we're not going to replace everything they do. But with those companies, now you have to spend someone else has to manage those conversations and copy lists and move people from one campaign to another and create all these workflows. And that takes time. That takes thought. It takes intentionality, responsiveness. And we know there's all those things are already being demanded so much of us. And so that's why we decided to take and add this feature into hhImagehost so that you guys can, again, just focus on going out there and booking, shooting, and selling that business. And then we can manage moving those lists and keeping those conversations up to date, built into the system that they're wanting them to order from already.
Much appreciated.
Appreciate you. What's up, Meg?
Hold on. I'm trying to unmute myself.
There you are.
Okay. I got 3 questions here in my notes here.
All right.
So you went over setting up your prospect and you uploaded your CSV file. So a prospect gets it, logs in. Does that email become a lead or does it stay in prospect?
Yes. So good question. So someone, the goal of a prospect campaign, every email we're sending out or every text message we're sending out that's a prospect, the goal is to get them to log in.
Okay.
That's the goal. So once they log in, we stop sending them prospect messages. We mark them as completed that campaign, and we move them from the prospect to now starting into the lead campaign until such time they make a purchase, and then we'll move them from the lead to the buyer.
Okay. So you're saying, as we're setting up our prospect campaign, you should probably set up a duplicate lead campaign so that way they don't miss email 2, 3, and 4 if the prospect campaign had 4 emails already. Because
not necessarily. We don't need to match. More folks are sending out 5 or 6 prospect campaigns, but only like 2 or 3 5 or 6 prospect messages broadcast, but only 2 or 3 buyer broadcasts. So they don't need to match exactly. I would say, what are you trying to accomplish with those campaigns? And so for the prospect for a prepay event, we want them to know when picture day is and how to place their order, and know that they have to place their order before picture day. Once they've logged in, now it's reminding them.
Not a prospect anymore, so that campaign is invalid. So they need to have a matching or a correlating lead campaign to be partners with it.
Correct, but it doesn't have to necessarily send out on the exact same date at the exact same time if you don't want them to.
Okay.
So like if you go into the stock lead campaign right now, the first broadcast is actually set to send the day after they log in. So whenever that is, if they log in after the first prospect broadcast or the 5th prospect broadcast, we send them a message the day after they log in, so that we can, so that we stay relevant and stay on top of mind. So you don't have to, you still want to send that similar information, but it may be what you say or how you say it. You may want to change that because they're no longer unaware of picture day. Now they're just, they forgot or didn't get a chance to place an order before picture day.
Okay. If you have an event that's already live and you want to start the marketing, that doesn't work, right? It has to be, you have to create it and set it up before it goes live. Like you can't push a marketing campaign with an event that's already active, like an event that's active without marketing.
Yeah. So there are some rules to that. But I don't think that's one of them. So when you set up an event, let me flip back to my screen share here, because this is a good question. I'm glad you brought this up.
I have good questions.
You do have good questions. And I know you got another one, so I'm not going to lose you here.
I do.
So when you create an event, there is a portion here where it asks if you want to enable marketing.
Correct.
And by default, it says yes, but you can change that to no when you create the event. And then later on, you can go, I actually did get emails or actually do want to follow up with some folks. You can go in, click on edit the event, and turn that on. And so you can enable marketing with that little checkbox right there. And then you can go in down here and unload in your emails. That's great. What you cannot do, what it will not allow you to do, is if I come in here and say, I get a call from the principal that, we already made them aware that we're going to be sending out campaigns and messages on their behalf to let them know about picture day. They're happy with it, but then they just get so many phone calls from parents that they go, we have to stop it. We can't send any more messages right now. Well, there's a kill switch. We can just uncheck the box to kill all of the marketing broadcasts, whether it's the prospect, leads, or buyers. All of them will stop when we uncheck that box and hit save. So what I cannot do is then I cannot recheck the box after that. So once I've said stop all marketing for this event across all 3 campaigns, I can't then reinitiate it again after that. Once I kill it, it's dead. Okay. I can't bring it back to life.
If it was never initiated, you can turn it on. But if it's initiated, turned off, you can't turn it back on.
Yeah, we cannot resuscitate a dead campaign, a dead marketing funnel.
Okay. And then my last question is, you have your campaign, it is active, it is live, and you see an error in it. And I go in and I edit. Is it edit live, or do I have to relink it so that way the new edits talk to the campaign that it's attached to?
I love how your brain works. These are all great questions. That's a good question. So if I go, oh, there's a typo or something in there, then you can go in and you can make that change. And as soon as you click save, it will use that updated copy for any future broadcast. So anytime it sends out that message, that template it'll use the updated version. You don't need to go back and relink it.
You said any future though. So that means if it's attached to a current one, it wouldn't update.
So yeah, no, not exactly. What I mean by future is it won't change an email that's already been sent.
Of course.
So if I already sent the message, it's not going to go in and change that out. That would be an amazing feature if I could change something I said after I said it.
Right. It's more along the aspect that email 1 goes out, email 2 is supposed to go out, and I realize that there's an error in that campaign of email 2. I can change it and email 2 will go out correctly. That's correct. Okay.
That is correct.
That's my 3 questions. I'm done.
Yeah, but also I want to riff off of that because you reminded me of something that I want to share. Okay. So one of the features we just rolled out is the ability to personalize within a campaign even further. So again, just like those keywords that we've got, and I know we're running long, so thank you guys for sticking around with me here. So in addition to being able to add those different keywords, sometimes we need to personalize. So maybe I'm using this particular campaign across multiple events. So I'm going to use my Spring Get in the Game campaign, and I want to use this for 13 different schools that I'm doing spring sports for. But those 13 different schools, not only is picture day different, but where we're having picture day and what specific day is their day is going to change on a per event basis. So I don't want to make 13 copies of this campaign. That's a lot of scrolling for a lot of unnecessary work to make some small changes. So we just rolled out a feature that allows you to add another keyword, and that's called event message right here, this event message. And so that inserts the contents from the event message for that event. So if I want to put in some information to say when picture day is, I can do that. I can copy this keyword right here. And then I want to say, instead of event date, because it's not one date, it's going to be several days. I want to plug in, oops, I put that up there. I want to plug in the event message to plug in those dates right there. And I'm going to list all 3 dates that I'm going to have. So I can hit save right there. And now when I go to that event, there's this whole section in here called event message. So and it's under the image details section here. There's event notes, which is internal use only, but then event message and event message SMS. So I can put in here, A through F is, March 3rd. G through K is March 4th. And L through Z is March 5th. And you can use whatever text you want in there. The reason why there's 2 is for the emails, we may want to say a little bit more. Instead of abbreviating like this, we want to be a little more verbose and some of these descriptions. And maybe we want to put in picture days in the field house or in an elementary building, whatever that is. You can put that in there. For text messages, again, we don't have the luxury of length of messages. We need to keep those short. So we've got a separate one. For the emails, we can do up to 500 characters. For SMSs, we want to keep that shorter. So we're keeping that to 50. And so obviously this would work in that situation where we can just copy and use that in both. But if we wanted to add more to this one, we can have 2 separate versions of that special message for that particular event. So that's called event message, and that's something that's brand new. What other questions for anyone still sticking around here? Oh, hi, Scott.
I was talking. What's up, man? Good to see you guys.
I muted him.
It happens. It happens. Stephanie, you got a message. All right.
Anyway, we're unmuting.
So, Stephanie, you're asking if you already have a live event and can you import additional contacts? Do I have that right?
Sorry, the mute button for a minute. Yeah, the question is, if I have a campaign that's already live and is like, oh, mom gets all the contact info and dad calls and says, hey, can you include me on that? Is there a way to modify and add an individual to an existing event marketing campaign in there?
Yes. So right now, there's 2 ways to do it. One is you can create a CSV file for just dad and import that in the prospect campaign. The second option is you can log in as dad, put his email address into the login and click login. That adds him to the lead campaign. But one of those other things that we've talked about with our summit group, and one of the things that we want to add is we want to add a simpler way to do that for those one-offs, because surprising, what I didn't realize is how many calls a day you guys get from folks that just need to log into an event to place an order, how often that happens, or to get added to a campaign. And so we're going to add a feature that you can just put in their email address, phone number, select the event they need to be added to, and that'll send them an email or a text message to have them log into that particular event. And that will add them to the prospect campaign. So I said a lot of words there, but there's 2 ways to do it right now, but we want to add a third way that we think is going to be a lot easier for you to use and that you can use on the fly and from your cell phones if you need to.
So since I missed the summit, whoever said that, thank you, because I feel like half my day is, here's the link to find your pictures. And so whoever did that, good job.
Nice. So the idea is we're actually just going to add another link right here under create and manage event. That'll be send event link. When you click on that, it opens up a little form, just like on the reports page. It opens a form where you just put in an email address, click on the event, and hit send. And it just does all that for you. So you can bookmark that and use that from your phones and everything.
Sean, Sean.
Yeah.
With all this digital marketing, which I'm very much in favor of, how much traditional paper marketing for sports, for teamwork, should we be considering doing?
Yes. So your question, we get that question a lot, actually. So it's a good question, Bob. Is, now that we're engaging so much in email and SMS, do I still need a flyer? And I would say absolutely, you still need a flyer. You may not be sending out 2 flyers per person. Maybe you only need 1 with some extras. But I would still absolutely send out the flyer, even if only to direct folks to order online. The flyer does so much more than just take cash and checks. It merchandises your products, shows your brand. It's your first impression with those folks. And a lot of times it's your tool to get folks online if you're not getting email addresses or phone numbers. And it's that, for me, it's that physical reminder to actually go on and place an order. I don't know about you, but I get a couple of emails a day. And so I may miss an important one. But that flyer isn't something that's really competing for my attention like my inbox is. So I would still absolutely encourage flyer orders. And even if you don't get them from us, even if you get them from somewhere else, I'll be sad, but I'll still be happy that you're sending out flyers in addition to the emails and text messages.
With envelope style like we've done in the past.
Cash still spends, man. So if you're not offering them the ability to pay for cash, you're cutting off, potential revenue source. Now, how many cash orders do you get compared to what you used to? That's probably changed a little bit. But if it was me, I would still offer the ability to take cash to maximize those sales. So the envelope is going to be an important part. Now, I know the conversation is changing for a lot of folks in that they don't want flyers to come back to the school for some reason, for COVID reasons and those sort of things. And so even if it doesn't have an envelope, we have an 8.5 by 11 prepay or 8.5 by 11 proof option that you can use that just directs them to online. So if it's an option, absolutely an envelope. If it's not an option, I would still do a printed piece without an envelope if I were you.
So continuing with that thought, do we want the envelopes brought back empty, check mark someplace it says, I bought online?
You can, but the reports from hhhimagehost don't need you to do that in order to use the system.
Then what about camera cards? Just hand them out at the event?
Yeah, we can break that out a little further, but the idea is, how are we doing our data image match? And so if you're using camera cards, then yeah, you still want camera cards, or we've got QR codes or shoot lists. We've got all those different options to help you match the image to the data associated to it. And it doesn't have to be from the flyer that they turn in, but it can be if that's a system. Good questions, guys. Because you've been so good, I've got one more treat for you. And this is another new feature that we just launched. I haven't even posted about it yet, but I want you guys to be the first to know about it. And that's, we've added some logic to our prepay events to allow you to make exceptions for shipping charges. So you can now sell things that don't need to be shipped in addition to things that need to be shipped. And when you're charging for shipping on all those folks, you don't have to charge shipping on those special things. Let me show you what I'm talking about here.
Downloads?
Like digital downloads. You got it.
Y'all rock.
All right. So check this out. So I'm in my event. I'm going to my price list. And kudos goes to Stephanie because she actually found it before I can even share it here. So when I'm in my price list for my prepay event, I've got this older one right here. So that's prepay V1. We don't ignore this. Here we go. So in my prepay event, I've got right here my prepay price list. You can see we've now moved charges from the last thing, that was number 6, to now the second option here. So our additional charges, where we would normally add our mandatory shipping charge, is now moved to the second option. And we did that so that, I'll get to that, but we moved it to the second step here. But what we're going to do is, you can now see we've still got all those shipping charges, but we've added one specifically for shipping. And so when I check this box, it's saying I want to charge shipping on every order all the time. So this is for folks that are typically doing like drop shipping, ship to home for every order. That's not an option. It's every order gets shipped to home. And so I want to add an additional shipping charge to offset my cost for that. So say I want to put in a $3 shipping charge, and I always want to charge that. Now I can hit save, and I've got that shipping charge. That's been there. Just the feature for it to be called shipping is what's new. You can still come in and add your, tuition credits and all those other things where they can get, $10 off or whatever, those sort of things. You can still do those, or you could have up to, I think it's like 5 different charges or credits, if you will, that are already set in here. But once you have the shipping charge in specific set, then when you go to your packages and add-ons, you're going to see a new checkbox. It's called charge shipping fee. And all the boxes are checked by default. All of them are checked by default. But now if I want to create a package that's a download only, we're just going to call this download image. You guys can be more creative with this. But we're going to call this download image. And this is going to be, one image download full res, or whatever we want to call that. And so I can put in whatever my package letter is for that. That's package letter I. I'm charging $35 for it, or whatever your price point is. And then what I can do is I can uncheck the box right here to say charge shipping fee. When I uncheck that box, it means that if this is the only thing that's in the shopping cart then I will not charge shipping. So if this is the only thing available. Now, if this package and this package of C and this one down here are in there, it will charge shipping because the box is checked on this one. But if this is the only thing being ordered is just a digital download, or maybe I'm using this for I'm dying here, for yearbook pose. And, I don't need to, I'm not buying anything. I just need to come in here and tell you which package which pros I want for yearbooks. Then we don't have to charge shipping on a $0 package where all I'm doing is telling you about which yearbook pose to choose. So it's prepay and proof. That is that charge shipping fee checkbox. So there'll be an announcement for that later on, but I just wanted to give you guys that special treat to let you know about that cool feature. Awesome.
John, there's a question. Is that feature available on V2 proof plan and prepay?
Yeah, it's only on V2, but it's V2 proof plan and V2 proof pay. Prepay. Okay. Proof pay, prepay and proof plan V2. Awesome. Yes. Good
I'm
question.
Literally going in and doing it right now.
So if you're not charging, if you don't have like a download only package or a yearbook post selected package, don't need to worry about any special checkboxes. But if that's something that you're doing, that's there for you. So again, that's one of those things that we got requests for, that we saw the need for, and we wanted to be able to help. And so we've got that just launched. And so we got to send out the announcement. I actually got to put out the release notes on that real quick while I'm at it. So stand by for the official announcement, but you guys get the early bird one. All right. Well, guys, we doubled the time here today. So I apologize and taking up so much of your time, because I know time is precious, but I appreciate you sticking around with me and watching this and being a part of this. This has been hopefully very helpful for you and showing you how you can modify your campaigns and create special campaigns for particular events to personalize what they're saying, when they're being said, and how often you're saying it. But if there's something you missed, you can go back and rewatch this video. We'll post that. Or if there is particular specific question, please give us a call. Our customer service team is trained in how to use the system, and it's happy to help you with any specific questions you have on this, on how to modify these campaigns for you. But as always, it's good to see your faces. I can't wait till we can get together, have a drink together, get a coffee, talk about how amazing spring is. I'm looking forward to those conversations, guys. But until then, you all have a great day. Keep shooting and stay connected with us so we can help you guys stay proactive and keep you growing. So love you guys. Miss you all. Have a good one.
Love you, Sean.
Bye.